Hi, I'm Peter Wells. I'm a Rotarian, and today we're going to talk about a service project and how to put together a little library. You'll need some of your own tools, so that you'll need a hammer, you need a drill, you need a screwdriver, small Phillips head screwdriver, and an awl. If you don't have an awl, you can use a small nail. After we put this whole thing together, you'll also need some paint thinner to clean up the box, and then you'll need some glass cleaner in order to clean down the plexiglass. Okay. Included in the kit is the glue. Next is the screws that you're going to use. Special bit that's designed for this screw, and then it's got a cushion so that it doesn't mar the surface. After the screws are put in, then you'll be using little plugs that go in to finish it. Also, there was a block to knock in the plugs, the doorknob, and the hook, as well as some small screws that we're going to use to secure the hinge to the box. There's two different bolts. See one with a round top to it? It's called a carriage bolt. There's a nut and two washers. Then the other one, it's got two nuts. It's called a through bolt. Okay, we're going to get started by telling you about the pieces of material that you have. You'll note that it's all built out of an AZAC material. That's a plastic. And why did we do that? You don't have to paint it, and it'll last for just about ever. The pieces that we have pre-assembled for you first is the bottom inside the library, and the bottom, and you see it's open pre-assembled so that it sits right on top of the post, and with those two bolts will secure the library to the post. So we're going to put that aside over here. Inside the box, we'll go over here just maybe to point them out. Here was the bottom, the base, and now here is a shelf. This is the top. How do I know this is the top? Because there's a slope on this side and a slope on this side, and there's even a kerf. What's a kerf? That's so when the rainwater comes over, it drips down. But you'll know that's the top, and then you see the pre-drilled holes. That's typical for each piece. We've already pre-drilled all the holes for you. Then there's the two side pieces. They have graphics on them to denote the Rotary. And then there is the back piece. How do I know this is the back piece? Because there's only one sloping cut. The bottom is flat. And then there's the door. And the door is self-explanatory, other than to say, here's the hinge that as we go through and put it together, you'll hear how this hinge has to be secured with little screws, not only on the front, but then on the side. The one thing that's missing is the concrete that you'll have to buy to install your box. When it's all done and you're ready to put it in the ground, you're going to dig a hole. You need at least 100 pounds of concrete in the ground to hold this library in place. Today, Simone is helping me, and I strongly recommend that you don't do this all on your own. It's at least a two-person project, maybe even a little bit more than that. There's a couple things that you should note in putting it together, and that is when you're using the glue, very little glue is actually needed. It's just a small bead, and as I put it together, you'll see that. It's just a small bead of glue. Keep putting the cap back on. You put your small bead, put the cap back on, put it down, and ready for the next gluing. And we're going to put a bead of glue on the side here. There's the part I'm telling you, trying to be tricky. Be careful with it because it comes out quickly. See the way it came out kind of quickly? But you see that small bead of glue? That's all we need. This glue dissolves the plastic a little bit, and then as it dries, it really makes one piece of plastic part of the other. And now we're ready to drill in. Okay. Now, did you hear the way the drill almost went quiet? It was making that bang, 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 and then it went quiet. That's because the screw finally reached past the end of the drill bit and it went in deep enough. Why is that important? Later on, when we put these plugs in, it's important that screw was in nice and tight and all the way. Now the plugs, with your hammer, carefully placing them, takes a light tap just to get them started, and then we'll use a block of wood, because why? We don't want to mar the surface. So you can just get them in with your finger, turn them a little bit, and just get them started. Okay. Take our block of wood. Boom. See the way it's nice and flush, and they didn't make a mess out of the surface? That's why we want to use that block. I started it for you by putting the piano hinge on with 2 screws, but now you see the rest of the holes still need to be filled with screws. This is where you want to use an awl. You center your hole, push down, and you made a pilot hole for that screw. Or, you don't have an awl, you can use just a nail. Again, you just center it, tap in a little bit, and then I got that all started. Next here, you want to install the screws. They are small screws with just a small head to it, and that's why maybe an electric drill with a drill bit is not a good idea. Instead, a good old-fashioned screwdriver might work out better, and a little bit of elbow grease. And then you can put the screw right in, and then it goes in nice and tight, and I'll hold that hinge in place forever. Okay, we're going to secure this back piece to a side panel. Okay, just one side panel. And again, we're going to make sure the graphics are facing out. And then we're going to first just take a look at, okay, that's the way that would line right up. You see it's nice and lined, it's all square, and it's nice and lined and tight on the side. So we're ready to secure that piece. I think it's smart to do the top one, then the bottom one, not the ones in the middle, because then it helps you with your alignment. See the way I'm aligning the sides? Now I do the same thing for the other side. We're going to put that shelf in. Okay, here's the shelf. Now the shelf, there was lines that are inside the face that are all set for you so that you're lining the piece up with that. There's a front edge, and then there's the bottom. There's the front edge, there's the bottom. Okay, so that you can see how well this would go right in. Boom, boom, boom. So now I'm going to put a little glue on it. It's a little trickier because you're going to put glue on something that you're going to then hold it this way. So you kind of have to move quickly with your glue. Before I worry about that second one on that other side, I'll put in this side. Okay, the next we're ready to do is the top. Okay, the top piece. Again, that's the one with the kerf. And the kerf goes down, obviously, because there's the holes on the top. See the way that would line right up? Now here it's important. See these 3 holes in the back? They're going to come down and go through the face into the top of this back, so that we have to carefully line those up so that they will go straight down into the back. Okay, I'm going to put in the front screw here just to hold it in place with the back so that they don't come right through the side, is that we have to come down on an angle, right? The plugs with your hammer, carefully placing them. Takes a light tap just to get them started, and then we'll use a block of wood, because why? We don't want to mar the surface. Take our block of wood, boom, see the way it's nice and flush and they didn't make a mess out of the surface? Now, one of the advantages is using the plastic wood as well as those plugs. You can see already the outside surface, it's all done, all finished, no need for paint. First thing we have to do with the door, we have to put on the rest of the screws. I started it for you by putting the piano hinge on with 2 screws, but now you see the rest of the holes still need to be filled with screws. This is where you want to use an awl. And next you want to install the screws. They are small screws with just a small head to it, and that's why maybe an electric drill with a drill bit is not a good idea. Okay, now with the screws set and the piano hinge on this side of the door, we're ready to place the door on the box. Now, one thing you want to make sure is that first, I'm just taking a look to make sure, okay, I got the graphics right, I got the hinge on the right side. Okay, and now I'm going to ask Simone to hold it for me. I'm going to line up that bottom, the bottom face of the door with the bottom face of the unit. And then I have the hinge all in place, and I'm just going to grab an awl for that finishing nail. I'm going to put in this very first one. That's important to get that straight. Then we're going to put in that top one. Again, we're going to make sure that the hinge is the same on the top and the bottom. See, it's about 1/8 of an inch away from the surface, and there it is about 1/8 of an inch away from the surface in the top. So then we got our 2 pilot holes. We get those 2 first screws in right, then it's easy to do all the others. Don't worry about the pilot holes for the others until we get these first 2 screws in. Now we're ready to just make the other pilot holes. Again, we can use that with an awl. Or again, if you didn't have an awl, you could use a nail and a hammer. It'll be nice and straight. And here we go, nice and straight. Okay, hinge is in place, all the screws are in place, so the front door is done. We're done for now. Here's something important about the bottom piece. See the way it's marked F for the front? Okay. The F for the front, hold the door open, goes, this is the front, and it has to face out. Why that's important is that the holes have been pre-drilled, assuming that this board would be put right in this way, okay? So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna do the glue on the sides. Now I'm going to line up with some pencil lines inside the box. See the pencil line? Okay, I'm lining up with that. And then I'm going to get a screw in. Okay, we'll just get 2 in place to hold us. We'll do the other side. Ready for this one to go. Important that when you're using the drill and you're putting the screws in, you're always perpendicular to the surface and nice and straight. Why is that important? Because if you're off, you're facing this way, it's going to go right through. So be careful that you're lining up your drill correctly. Okay, we're ready to flip this upside down because there's 3 screws on the back that we have to put in place. There's 2 different bolts. See one with a round top to it? Okay, that's going to go on the side. And then just temporarily, until you're ready to put your post together, you just put it like that, nice and through. Okay, then the other one, it's got two nuts. It's called a through bolt when it goes through the material, and it can be tightened on either side. So there we are, all temporarily ready to install. We're ready to make sure, take a look at every single hole and make sure that there's a screw in it. So we're ready to put our plugs in. Good time to say, if you're missing parts, got any extra questions, got anything that's not working out for you, you can use the QR code on the bottom corner of the instructions to watch this video or to actually reach out and contact Peter Wells. My phone number is 201-573-1627. And again, you just leave a message that you're calling about the Rotary Service Project, and I'll get back to you and answer any questions that you have or help you with anything that's not working out. We're ready to put the door handle on. There's a pre-drilled hole for that. Simply just put the screw through. Once it's nice and tight, it's still got a little bit of slip to it, so you can make it line up to say Rotary International. So it's all lined up. And the hook is going to be placed in such a way that it doesn't want to get it into the graphics, and it needs to be below the door handle. So the first part is that you're going to put on the hook part, and you can put that right on the door. I think about right there works out. Again, you could use your nail, or you can use your awl to help you with the hook, or you can use the hook itself just to kind of turn it, make it nice and tight. Okay. Okay, all lined up. See the way it's lined up, and the hook is sitting out there. Now I want to place the next piece. So I like to do it as upside down, and then I make a little mark right on the surface. See the little mark I made? That's how I know where that center of that hook is going to go. And then the hook itself will work out. You can open the door and just hold it. I put this piece in. Again, once it's started, a good trick is to use that nail or the awl, and then you can just turn it like this. You don't want to go too far, but far enough, because you don't want to go through the side wall. Okay, but you can see how that all lines up nice and neat. Okay. When it's ready for install day, you were given a post, and the post itself had an F on it. So the post is all set, pre-drilled, ready to go. You take your two bolts off, slide this post in place so that it lines up with the hole, and then you put these bolts back through, and then this would be all secured. Once secured to the box, then your box is done. It's ready. It's ready to go in the ground. Go to your install place, you dig a hole. The hole needs to be at least 30 inches deep. That's deeper than the post itself, as far as this part that was left to go underground. So the post then sits on some concrete, and then you fill the rest of the hole with the concrete. You hold this in position. Maybe you'd want to use a bit of wood, wood stakes to hold it in place. And then with the fast concrete, it will be secure enough within a half an hour that you can remove your temporaries, and then it'll all be finished. The only last thing to do is to fill the box with books and enjoy the box. Remember, there's a responsibility that comes with a little library, and that is it needs to be maintained. Books have to be constantly put into it, maybe even inappropriate books taken out of it. And so that you do want to guard the people that are using your box by not only a good supply of books, but then a good supply of good books. Hope you enjoy. Again, my name is Peter Wells. This was a Rotary Service project, and if you had any questions or need for additional information, you can reach me at 201-573-1627. Thank you.